Walmart says that Ozempic is making people buy less food. My man crush, Ann, my retail man crush, the great
he was
John
out there
Furner,
with his flow talking about this.
He was, yeah, he's got some flow going. He's got the hockey hair. But anyway, my man crush, John Furner. I have no idea why that slipped out. The chief executive of Walmart US said recently, quote, "We definitely do see a slight change compared to the total population. We do see a slight pullback in overall basket, just less units and slightly less calories," end quote. According to Bloomberg, Walmart has been studying changes in sales patterns using anonymized data on shopper populations. Of course, it's anonymized, evaluating the purchasing changes among people taking the drug against those who aren't taking the shot. And while Fernald also did say that it's too early to draw any definitive conclusions about the appetite suppressing drug, and are you buying into this story?
Man, this was such a hot topic this week. I don't know if it was just a slow news week or what, but everybody
I think it was a slow news week. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm still.
And it's just a hot drug too. I think.
Yeah.
People love this drug.
Yeah. I'm still pretty skeptical of the true impact of, I think, this correlation, and John Furner's saying it too. It is something, though, that I think that everyone from CPG companies like Cheez-Its and Pringles, who are also saying that they're seeing impacts from this drug's proliferation around the U.S. I think it's important for people to be thinking about what the investment is in personalization, I think. And by people, I mean like retailers, from convenience store retailers all the way to grocery retailers. Like, what does this mean? And if you're invested in getting this data back, seeing these drops in sales, whether it's from Ozempic or it's from, like the convenience stores industries are seeing with a reduction in the purchasing of tobacco products or even like sugary drinks and snacks. What investment have you made in order to quickly adapt to and start to personalize offers for the other products that this is resulting in an increase in purchase in? So, if people at Walmart are buying less junk food, how are you personalizing that experience so that you can offer fresh food or other health foods or fitness goods or apparel or even beauty that might become more prevalent for consumers who are changing their behaviors? And so that's what I think the real story is here, is like, how are you investing in being able to make those real-time changes to the personalization of shopping experiences and offers that you're giving your customers, whether it's Ozempic or not?
Yeah, so I mean, basically, it's just back to roots merchandise. It's back to roots retailing. It's like balancing your merchandising to what the population needs, and from the brand side, the CPG side, altering your product mix or your portfolios to give the customers what they need, given the fact that the dynamics are different in terms of what they want on the shelf as well. So, yeah, I mean, and for me, I think the story is interesting, but I think you always, with every story, now we always tell the listeners to do this, with every story, you have to ask, what would compel the person that's giving you this information to share it, right? What is their motivation? So it does make me wonder, the jaded side of me does make me wonder if Walmart isn't priming the pump for a sales slowdown, especially when you consider that the guy who used to hold John Furner's position, former Walmart US CEO Bill Simon, came out literally yesterday and said that consumers are starting to quote unquote buckle, right? Yeah. So that's happening at the same time. Yeah. And this guy's he's got to be clued in on what's going on at Walmart. So now with that said, I think Walmart should be able to piece apart the data in the way they've described. That should be pretty straightforward. So my guess is that they are seeing some impact. And John Furner, I think, I have a ton of respect for him. He's not going to say something that isn't true, for the most part. And so I think it probably is happening to some degree. And like you said, we just don't know the full impact of it or over the long haul, what that's going to mean either. Right. So the motivation is still the real question here. But the other point I would mention, and you kind of talked about this a little bit, but I think it was a really great point you brought up yesterday, so I wanted you to talk about it even more, is like, what's the impact going to be on this across retail more broadly, and particularly the convenience store industry? Because the convenience store industry is going heavy into prepared foods. Yes. And so this is going to make that a much more uphill climb for that industry. And also you think about Dollar General, them going into food, that's going to become more difficult too if this starts to take hold across the nation as it's being talked about or purported to be doing right now. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that
again, it goes into like, how are you adapting to the trends, and how are you trying to make up for a slow of business sales? I mean, I'm sure this happened when you were a merchant, Chris, with like, like what was the Atkins diet? Like there's always these trends that are going to change and impact. Happen. So like how are you investing in being agile and being able to provide an offering? The convenience store angle, investing in prepared foods, like that's concerning, because that's a hell of an investment to start putting kitchens into these convenience stores and all of these things. And if that doesn't pay, or you're not set up to provide the right food offering that your consumer is demanding, like that's where I think this gets to be somewhat concerning.
Yeah, the other interesting part about, like, you talk about the trends of merchandising. Yeah, like Atkins is a great one. Those always like move one category up and another category down.
Yeah.
The difference here, though, is you're talking about entire amounts of food being consumed being less.
Yeah.
Everything moving down. So that's what's different about this, and that's what's really intriguing about it. And that's why I think your point is dead right. There's going to be a ripple effect here, particularly if inflation keeps happening too, because you've got less units from inflation. If you're going to have less people buying less units because they're not as hungry across the nation, then yeah, that's going to be pretty impactful. So net, this story, I think, while it's getting a lot of attention, probably deservedly so, wouldn't you say, Ann? I mean, I think as we sit here and talk about it out loud, there's a lot going on here over the long haul if this drug continues to do what it's saying it can do.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of things that can impact, like it's definitely something to watch. The economic impacts of this drug are something to watch, and why it's getting so much attention, because whether or not it's being paid for by healthcare providers and what in different states and all these things, like there's so much fluctuation happening as this drug continues to expand across the country. The use of this drug, it continues to expand and contract. I mean, I think that's the interesting thing too. Like this drug was getting put out there and anyone could use it. And you and I have even seen like our insurance company saying like, look, we're not paying for this drug anymore. And we've seen at multiple reports, as soon as you stop taking this drug, then the increase in food demand comes back. So it's like, again, how are you as a retailer set up to really be as flexible as possible to the changing consumer demands that are getting thrown your way?
It's smart that Walmart's watching this too. Like if they're watching the data to the degree that they are, it's smart. It's really, really smart and cagey.